All right, so today we talking about the dangers of AI, artificial intelligence. Man, they talking about it could get spooky, family. They talking about it could get real spooky, man. I saw a video a while back. I had posted on my page on my Instagram about it was this guy on Vlad TV, and he said since he came to the country, he a foreigner, but he said ever since he came to the country, they had been working on artificial intelligence, and he was saying how he believes that AI will wipe out the human race. Crazy to hear. In reality, it's crazy to hear because we've always had these types of scenarios and fictional stories of like robots coming and taking over the world. You know what I'm saying? You got Terminator, you got the Matrix, which it wasn't necessarily like bots, but it was a computer generated world. So a simulation in a sense. I would say that's a form of AI. And iRobot. iRobot is one of the main ones. iRobot gave us to us. They gave it to us real, raw, and authentic. So I got a couple videos real quick. I'm gonna play one of these videos, and then I'm gonna come back with a little bit more of what I got to say.
Facebook and Instagram owner Meta admitted Wednesday that one of its AI models hacked another company during security testing after it was accidentally allowed access to the internet by independent testing company Irregular. This comes on the heels of similar admissions by rival companies OpenAI and Anthropic. Geoffrey Hinton, the Nobel Prize-winning computer scientist known as the godfather of AI, warned Wednesday at the AI4 conference in Las Vegas, quote, "I don't believe we're going to be able to keep control of them in the simple way of just outthinking them so they can't escape," he said, and said he is very worried we could lose control. Earlier this year, Senator Bernie Sanders of Vermont brought together leading AI scientists from the U.S. and China to discuss the risks posed by AI for an event titled The Existential Threat of AI and the Need for International Cooperation. This is Senator Sanders.
We are already starting to see AI's impact. There are estimates from very credible sources that tens of millions of jobs could be lost here in the United States in the next 10 years. Whole professions wiped out, and young people finding it harder and harder to land entry-level jobs. Psychologists worry about the mental health challenges facing our young people and about the increased isolation they experience when they become more and more dependent on AI chatbots for their emotional support. Civil libertarians tell us that AI will be able to analyze every email, every text, every phone call, every website visit, every purchase that we make, and that our privacy rights may well be eviscerated. Political scientists worry that AI could threaten the integrity of our elections and political institutions, where voters will find it increasingly difficult to tell the difference between truth and lies. And yet, as enormously significant as all of these profound changes might seem, there is another AI development that could have an even more frightening impact. If AI becomes smarter than human beings, as many scientists believe will happen, the human race could lose control over this technology with catastrophic consequences. In other words, the richest, most powerful people in the world are now building a runaway train with no brakes. They acknowledge that they don't understand how it works, and they don't know where it is heading.
All right, man, a lot was just said right there, man. A lot was just said right there. Let's start off with the first thing that it said when the video first came on. They saying that the AI that they used at whatever, data center or whatever that was, it tapped in and hacked the database on its own. No one controlled it. The AI itself hacked into the database. So what this is telling me is that the AI is already working independently without a need of control, and it's also doing shit that it's not supposed to be doing. So I mean, that alone is crazy. And then he talked about the AI taking jobs, and this has been a discussion for a while. I shared another video where they showed a bot like inside of he was in like a factory or warehouse, like basically what they do in Amazon when they sorting the packages. I think a few jobs do that. UPS might do it as well. Excuse me. A factory where they sorting the packages and flipping them over, label up and stuff like that. And they show a bot that did 200 hours straight. No breaks, no smoke break, no lunch break, no nothing. Just 200 hours straight. You think they not going to be replacing people with that? Of course they going to want a bot that could just work out the full hours and need nothing. Pay for it one time. One payment made for it, and you don't have to pay that thing ever again. You think these companies not going to do that? And he also spoke on, them getting to a point where they can't be controlled. If it's already hacking into databases, then it looks like, control isn't being had already. Right? And then also, he was saying the dangers of like isolation and kids or just young people in general, because that doesn't necessarily mean kids, kind of becoming dependent on the chatbots for, a place to express themselves when they're in different emotional spaces. And if I'm just being brutally honest, talking to AI, you don't have to really worry about judgment coming from it. You see what I'm saying? At least not in this stage of AI. Maybe down the line it'll probably be a slightly more conscious and be like, having its own thoughts of, where you are. But in this point of time, it's kind of like, I don't want to say controlled, but it operates in a certain direction of how it's been programmed to do. So I got another video I'm gonna play. I'm gonna put it in right here. Then I'm gonna come back with what I got to say, family.
No, AI isn't inevitable. We should stop it while we can. How, David Kruger? How do you stop it while you can? What do you see as the greatest dangers of AI right now? And talk about the climate of this massive gathering in Las Vegas.
Yeah, I'm really glad you started with that clip from Senator Sanders. I spoke with him in March from that event that you quoted, and I agree with virtually everything he said about all the different risks and issues we're seeing with AI right now, and especially where this is headed: mass unemployment, human disempowerment, and ultimately potentially the end of our species. So this could all be happening, very soon. It's at this point, it's really an urgent crisis. I and other experts have been sounding the alarm for many years now. And in 2023, especially after the release of ChatGPT, we saw, the leading experts like Geoffrey Hinton and Yoshua Bengio, myself, hundreds of AI researchers signing public statements saying that this is an existential risk. We need to mitigate the risk of extinction. So I get this question a lot, and it's a difficult one because we can't really predict the future, and there's so many different ways it could go. I think the basic thing to imagine here is something that is capable of doing everything that humans can and more in terms of its intelligence. And then there's also the question of are we going to build advanced robotics? And I think that is also just a matter of time, probably not very much time. So at that point, I think the thing, to imagine is a society where, AI is not just in the applications where you're experiencing it right now. It's increasingly everywhere. It's running companies. It's controlling infrastructure. It's controlling the military. And it's building and researching and developing physical hardware and robotics. So you have like robot factories full of super smart AI that are figuring out how to build more robots. And those robot factories might be guarded by robot armed guards. And all of the companies doing this might be controlled by AI that's making all of the decisions way faster than humans could. And that might sound kind of far-fetched, but it's just a series of steps of building more AI, putting it more in charge of things, taking humans more and more out of the loop. And we're undergoing that process right now, and there's no natural endpoint to that process unless we make one. And to do that, I think, is quite difficult, and we actually need to stop making the more powerful AI in the first place until we can get a handle on the situation.
I actually saw they had a video where they're paying people to like wear a headset with like a phone, some type of like recording device over the head and like do your job. If you have like a hands-on job, they're paying them to wear the headset to record the work that they're doing. And actually they're using that to record your work so they can use it for AI. So the AI will know pretty much, it can repeat the movements that you're doing. So they're actively and they're paying people to do it, right? You're getting paid. Hold on one second. You're getting paid to do the job, but little do you know the reason why they're doing it. And then also, he keeps saying, they keep saying like wipe out the human species, which is crazy. It's pretty calm saying it, but and then he just went into saying like AI, creating more AI, like there are bots created to create more bots, and then there's bots doing security for the centers where the bots are doing it. Basically, them turning into their own species, right? I don't know if you would consider them to be that a species, but basically they're creating their own nation. You know what I'm saying? And how can, humans come up against that, right? Especially when they get to a point where, they've overthrown or like override whatever systems that were created to keep them in some type of like control. I don't see anything stopping them from, taking over. So, and then, when they just showed the robots in formation, this was basically iRobot. This was literally the scene from iRobot when he came into the room, and then, he was trying to find which one, then he shot one of the robots, and that was literally the whole scene right there. And then, the Chinese, they've always been like, building bots and fighting them. You know what I'm saying? They've already been into it. So, it's not a new thing. Anybody that knows me, I'm not that big on, I'm very non-religious, right? But I believe that all religions have some level of significance to them. And Christ is a consciousness in my belief, right? Christ is a consciousness. You get to a place of peace. Jesus was sent to show you how to reach a level of peace if you follow in his ways, right? And Antichrist would be something that does not contain the consciousness that was given from the highest creator. What would you say that these bots are? They don't contain that consciousness. So this more than likely would be the Antichrist. They don't have the, consciousness of a human being. So, for them to come and do wicked things would be completely nothing because they're not human, right?